You just hate freedom. You hate free and proud people all over Europe. And especially you hate people who love their nations, who love their countries, and who love their children. Because those people are your biggest enemies. Those people want to preserve their countries as they remember them from time they were children. They want to preserve their countries free, independent, safe, clean, and beautiful. They want their countries without hordes of illegal aliens killing and raping women and children in the streets, and they want their countries without daily terrorist attacks. And that's why you want to destroy freedom of speech on social media. You know very well that if those kind of people will have a right to freely share their information, they will never support your green scam. They will never support your migration policies. They will never support your rainbow transgender stuff. That's why you decided to censor all of your opponents and to spy hundreds of millions of Europeans through the chat control. And that's why you decided on a huge fine against Elon Musk's X platform, because he provided freedom of speech for the whole planet. He provided for us the real democracy, which you hate the most. Because right now we see that not Trump, not Musk, not any foreign interference, but Ursula von der Leyen and her commission, you are the biggest enemies of freedom. You are the biggest enemies of free speech, and you are the biggest enemies of Europe. And we need to stop you at any cost possible.
Welcome to the JJ Carrell Show. That man, could we please hire him? I will replace any politician. Bring him in right now. You know what? I don't care. Cross the Rio Grande on your little floaties, run through the razor wire. I'll give you a free cell phone and about 10 grand in cash. Come on, you can vote. I'll vote you in right away. How about that? How about we get some white illegal immigrants? Boy, would that piss off the Democrats and the rhinos. Wow. We have no one pushing America first. I don't know what MAGA means anymore. I have no idea. I'll give you a great example. Today, Speaker Johnson, who just 3 days ago told us that it is our religious duty to continue to funnel money, shove money into Israel. That's a side story. But Speaker Johnson does something today in the wake of the Somali fraud into tens of billions of dollars, in the pushback, the backlash on illegal immigration. What does Speaker Johnson propose on the House, the floor? What bill is he trying to push? Is he trying to give us our quote rebate, which is my money? Is he trying to push a bill that does that? Stop money going to Israel and Ukraine and all over the world and giving money back to Americans? No. This is how tone deaf. Let me rephrase that. They're not tone deaf. They know exactly what the hell they're doing. This is how rotten and evil our government is. He just pushed a bill up to the non-charismatic piece of wood, John Thune, in the Senate, giving out $5.6 billion to refugee resettlement funding. This isn't what he did under Joe Biden, which he did in the tune of tens of billions of dollars, but he's re-upping and double, tripling down now that we've said we don't want any more refugees. We don't want any more illegal aliens. We don't want anything. We have groups of people, large groups of people that are screaming, no immigration. We want zero. We want the same immigration that we had in 1924. We want to repeal the 1965 Hart-Celler Act, and we want to go back to 1924. And what does this little piece of human trash, this Israel lover, this guy that kneels on the house and makes a show out of praying everything God hates, what does this little Kremlin do from Louisiana? Well, he put $6 billion up to bring in more people. Excuse me. Look at the contrast. Excuse me again. Between Speaker Johnson, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, John Thune, all the mental patients on the left, Joe Biden, Mayorkas, on and on and on. Look at the difference between them and that gentleman that was speaking on the floor of the European Union. There is a profound difference between that politician and ours. Ours, they don't love their own country. They don't want to preserve anything. Think about what I just said, detailed about Speaker Johnson. There is an absolute backlash against bringing in any legal or illegal immigrants. Zero. No one wants it. Even the left are saying silent. They don't even want to get into this debate. But this jackass and the other disgusting, vile politicians on the Republican side want to spend $6 billion to bring in more fucking refugees. We have refugees that are called Somalians, and they are stealing tens of billions of dollars. There's raping, there's child molestation, there's all kinds of murders and assaults all across America at the hands of illegal aliens, and these jackasses want to bring in more refugees. We are going to see an onslaught of Nigerians. Why? Because Donald Trump is bombing Nigeria now. And what is our MO? We like to go bomb and destroy nations and go, oh, they're displaced. I can't believe they're displaced. Yeah, I don't know what happened. What happened in their country that they're displaced? What happened? You just bombed the crap out of them. I don't know why we have all these Yemenis. Why are we having all these Afghanis? Pakistanis? Iraqis? Where do they come from? Well, they don't have anywhere to live because we bombed them to smithereens. And then our response to the people that made us bomb them is to bring them into America. If you don't hate our government enough, then you are the problem. We're looking at fraud and theft by the people we brought into our nation. Just like that gentleman said as he's speaking to the United Nations in the higher echelon of them, and all you had to do is take that man, that very articulate, powerful, intelligent man, and put him in the House. Put him in the chamber where we do the State of the Union with the president and allow him to say the exact same words he spoke to the European Union, but direct it to our Senate and our Congress and our president and our vice president. Those words would resonate exactly how they did in the European Union, as an agitation, as a resentment, an anger against you, the leaders, you, the representatives, have ignored all of our cries. All of our grievances have been left with no recourse. And you continue, even in the face of it, in the face of resentment, pushback, anger, you still push your globalist agenda down our throat. And do you actually think that you're going to continue to do this and there's going to be no pushback? On my way to work this morning, I took a job. Can't really say what I do, so I want to break a nexus, but I am back in the business. After 24 years, I am back in that freaking mess because I love my country so much that I will go back and fight for her. No one's ever going to say I don't put up what I say. That, unlike a lot of podcasters, a lot of quote influencers that are just blowhards. Number one, they never done anything. But I've done a lot. And I'm very happy, or I was very happy being retired and growing my podcast and writing books and doing documentaries and giving speeches, traveling across the country. And yet I have a patriotic streak that I believe that I have to be in the fight, physically in the fight. So I'm back in. I'm not stopping this podcast. I'm not stop writing. I am just going to have less hours in the day to sleep, because I'm not going to take that as time for my wife or my son. They're the most important thing. But as I'm driving to work early in the morning, I just have shorts on Facebook or YouTube or whatever whatever social media. I just have just one short take after another. And I'm listening to something this morning that was, it's rare. Let me pause there for a second. It's rare that I'm shocked, or I hear something and it makes me pause, like really stop and go, did I really hear that? I mean, it's almost maybe twice a year, maybe. Like, it's really rare for me. But I was listening to a gentleman on a podcast or an interview in the UK. And this man, and I apologize for not remembering his name. This man is a politician, not a Tommy Robinson type of guy. Think of Tommy Robinson, who is anti-Muslim immigrant, but he's also sold out to Israel, and he's kind of soft. This guy wasn't soft. You ever listen to a man talk and you look at him, like you physically look at him. It doesn't matter if you're watching it on TV or a podcast, or you're just having a conversation. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be the biggest man, right? They can just be the physicality of the person, the way their hands look. That's, for me, I can always tell kind of the strength of a man through his forearms and his hands. Like, he's done labor. He's done trades. He has been in fights. He has been in law enforcement. He has been in the military. He's a man that has been in it on some level, has been in it. And I'm watching this video of this man speak, and I'm feeling the same way as I'm describing a real man to me. And I'm looking at his forearms, and I'm looking at his hands as he speaks, and I look at his body language, which I did throughout my career. So I really focus on this. And you could feel it off of him. He's authentic. He's a low-level politician because he has to be in politics to make change. But he is if I had to describe what he is talking about in terms of American terms, I would say that he is a militia member. And he begins to articulate what I believe is going to happen or must happen in America if things don't change, like, immediately. And this gentleman from the UK is being interviewed, and he is very even. And that's something else that I really try to watch when I'm speaking to someone or listening to someone speak, is what is their cadence. Now, should that gentleman or me or anyone that's speaking about these topics get emotional, get frustrated, raise their voice, even yell, use curse words? Yes. But there is something about a man that just is, you feel the emotion in what he's saying, but it's calm. It's like, it's a calm body of water. But there's monsters at the bottom of that lake. You just know it. You've seen them. You know they're there. But on the top, it's just peaceful. It's calm. And that's how this man was speaking. And what he said, what jarred me, what made me pause and rewind it as I was driving and listen to it again, is he laid out exactly what I believe America must do in the coming months and years if something doesn't drastically change in America. And he looked right at this gentleman interviewing him, and he began to explain all of the immigration that's been allowed to pour in to England, all of the politicians that have turned their back on the British and allowed these people to rape their women and their children, to allow them to kill their women and their children, their brothers, their fathers, that throw them in jail for memes, throw them in jail for speaking out. And what this man said, which was unbelievable, he says, we have all the men ready. They're in our military. They are in our law enforcement. They are in our government. And all we are waiting for is for our leader to give us the green light. And we will engage in a war. And that really shook me. Because the propaganda lie that America sets all the trends in the world, that's a lie. We may have movies, some fashion, something. That's a different thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about political movements. I'm talking about the way humanity is viewed, how war is conducted. That starts in Europe. Everything that we have is based off of European politics and government. We tweaked it, obviously, and not more than tweaked it, but we made our government. But the foundations of it are, of course, from Europe, where our founding fathers and our white Christian settlers came from. That created America, not the slaves, not the third world savage immigrants that we brought in. No. The white Christian settlers that came to America and defeated the savage Indians and conquered America. Our heroes. I don't care how they conquered it. I'm not going to judge looking back. I wasn't on the Western Plains. I wasn't on the Eastern Seaboard. I wasn't fighting Native Americans. They didn't have a Hampton Inn to go to and get a nice hot breakfast and a good shower and wake up and start the day over. They got off the boats, tried to create a small town without starving to death, freezing to death, suffering from mosquitoes, fighting savages. They just moved from the east to the west and conquered it all. And for that, I'm grateful. And I'm not going to sit here and judge them in any way. But everything that happens in Europe finds its way to the United States of America. It used to be at about a 5 to 10 year lag. But because of technology, because of social media and the instant communication, ability to communicate with each other, that has accelerated to about 3 years or less. I have been watching the United Kingdom out of straight curiosity and out of bewilderment that how does the great British men allow their nation to be overrun? And to hear that those men in their military, in their law enforcement, are standing by, waiting for a go signal. Whoa. And somebody asked me today, what does that look like to you? What do you think that's going to be? I said, I believe they will go and they will kill and drive out every Muslim in their country. And then they will go up through the parliament and kill everyone in the parliament, everyone in position of authority and power that betrayed their country. And it will be horrific. It will be like the worst horror movie you can imagine. Because when that resentment comes into play and men feel as if they have no recourse except to move forward and do what must be done, history's proven those men are more vicious, more unforgiving, and more violent than anyone in history. And I believe that's what's going to happen in America. I believe once that sets the tone, and you will see it in UK, then you will see it in Germany, you will see it in Spain. The French will be the last because they are the greatest effeminate group of men. You will see Belgium fight back. The Netherlands are already started. Denmark's already started. Sweden's going to have to start. It's going to be this mass murder, this mass killing of Muslims. And then you're going to see the third world mentally retarded savages get pushed out of their nations and back into sub-Sahara and the Middle East. And that mentality and that fever pitch anger and that violent overthrow is going to come to our shores. It's as if everything is beginning or has been in motion and nobody wants to try to stop it. I'm looking at President Trump, who I voted for 3 times. One of his biggest supporters, and I will say without hesitation, the greatest border president in the history of our country. But him, J.D. Vance, all of those gutless congressmen and senators have failed us because not one single traitor has been arrested. No mass deportation is occurred. And our country is dying a demographic death. And what is our response to it all? Well, let's help Ukraine. Let's help Israel. Let's give money to Argentina. Let's give money, support, our time, talent, and treasure to over 170 nations out of 194 nations on planet Earth, while our citizens suffer. It would be one thing if we had no illegal immigrants, no Muslim radicals, no Somalis stealing tens of billions of dollars. All of our roads were paved. Our schools were excelling. Crime didn't exist. Medical hospitals, airports, gleaming, just gleaming brand new. National income tax removed. IRS destroyed. Living off of tariffs. You want to have sales tax, that's fine. That's state to state. But we don't focus on any of that. Can anybody explain to me why we're not focusing on anything that's important to America? Speaker Johnson, John Thune, scoff at the fact that Donald Trump wants to rebate tariff money back to us. Words matter. I hate that word, rebate, refund. No, you're giving me my money back. But they all scoff and say, that's foolish. We need to pay down the debt. But at the same time, they give hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel and the Middle East, to 170 plus nations. And you take my money, instead of giving it back to me with an apology, you continue to steal it and give it to foreign nationals and foreign countries. I'm going to show you a great example of this. This is Zelensky talking about how he's been told that he, being the Ukrainians, have received $200 billion at the time of this interview, and that he's only seen or received $75 billion. Now, where in God's name did the $125 billion, where did it go? And it's gone further than that. We are now over $300 billion sent to Ukraine, and he has only received 50% of it. And just as you're watching him explain how he's not received all the money, I want you to understand that this war that was supposed to be done in 48 hours per Donald Trump's campaign pledge, Donald Trump has turned around through Speaker Johnson and Thune and approved $900 million more dollars to that man in his black tracksuit for 2 more years of war. Not 2 more days, 2 more years. Watch this.
Дивіться, я коли чую, і раніше чув, і сьогодні ми чуємо від Сполучених Штатів Америки, що Америка дала Україні сотні мільярдів, 177, якщо сказати більш точно. Така звучала точна цифра, яку підтримували або голосував Конгрес, тощо різні організації. Дивіться, я як президент воюючої країни вам говорю, ми отримали більше 75. Тобто 100 мільярдів з цих 177 або 200, говорять навіть деякі люди, ми ніколи не отримували. І це важливо. Бо ми говоримо про конкретні речі, бо ми отримали це не грошима, а зброєю. Ми зброєю отримали на 70 з чимось мільярдів. Є навчання, тренування, є додатковий транспорт, є не тільки ціну на зброю, були гуманітарні програми, соціальні тощо. Але коли говорять, що Україна під час війни отримала 200 мільярдів на підтримку армії тощо, це неправда. Я не знаю, де всі ці гроші.
I don't know where all the money is. And our politicians continue to spend more and more and more because they're all getting kickbacks. Donald Trump begins to bomb Nigeria. They just put up a map on a cable show tonight as I'm doing this show, or today, this morning when I'm doing the show. And it put red spots on military action across the globe that America is involved in. It was like 8 different countries. What are we doing? Is Nigeria our responsibility? I'll tell you who the responsibility is. It's the Catholic Church. They're killing Christians. The majority of Nigerians are Catholics. Why is our Pope not getting crusades back and have people volunteer and outfit with the trillions of dollars that the Vatican has and go fight wars? Because they don't care. Because the dumbass Americans are going to go do it. Go ahead and play this. This is just a quick clip from Fox News talking about the bombing of Nigeria this week.
It's key. But I remember a month ago, that very government denied that there was even a problem in their country. So what changed?
Yes, the coordination with the Nigerian government is key because it's not like the United States is trying to start a war with Nigeria, but United States intelligence agencies identified that this is where the ISIS planners and this is where the ISIS attackers are congregating in Nigeria, a safe haven. And so they went and they took them out.
Nick, can you stop that there? That's about another minute long, and it's important stuff that he's talking about. But I want you to hear what he just said, because I can't take it. You hear what he said? It's not as if Trump wants to start a war in Nigeria, but the CIA, the intel agencies, have stated that this is where ISIS is and this is where we should bomb. Have we heard this before? Dear God, we're living through that right now, current times. We're still in wars in the Middle East that going on almost 3 decades on faulty bullcrap intel. And here we go again. Because the intel agencies say, well, this is where ISIS is, ISIS-K, whatever, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, who knows? Who are we funding? What is the Islamic terrorist organization that we're on their side? Which one is it? Nobody knows. I see pictures of John McCain and Lindsey Graham hanging out with all types of terrorists. Please tell me which terrorist group I'm supposed to align with. Bombing in Nigeria as the city of St. Louis is in rumbles. Bombing in Nigeria, sending money to Ukraine, sending money to 170 different nations as Detroit has over 70,000 abandoned buildings. Gary, Indiana doesn't exist anymore. Springfield, Ohio has 20,000 illegal alien Haitians eating their pets, killing the geese in the pond, driving cars into buildings because they're giving Haitians that have never driven before driver's license. Our infrastructure is completely broken. Americans are going from paycheck to paycheck, and yet we're spending or we're printing or both hundreds of billions of dollars. So you then begin to devalue all of my hard work. When will we say enough's enough? When will we wake up, America? Before I bring my guest on, I want you to please support the companies that support this show. And one of those is MyPillow. MyPillow.com, promo code JJ. Get a huge savings. Mike Lindell, incredible person, incredible patriot, credible American, created a business in Minnesota, of all places, that employs Americans to build a product to be sold in America. It's not China, not building our pillows and our sheets and our robes and all the other products Mike Lindell sells and ship them out to America. It's made in America by Americans. Go to mypillow.com, mypillow.com, promo code JJ. My next guest is Chris from SAT123, sat123.com/JJ. Chris, how you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, mate. Hope you had a nice Christmas.
I did. How was yours?
Nice and cold, you'd be pleased to hear.
Yes, I am. Hey, there is they call it a cyclone bomb, or a bad northeastern that's coming through. And it is going to pound the Northeast, but it actually looks like it might be going a little bit east of Middle America. So you might get dumped on. We might get dumped on. The temperature dropped here 60 degrees in 24 hours. It was insane. But the reason why I always have you come on during the week, and it's the last day of the year, and I thought, you know what, I got to get him in because we didn't have you last week because of Christmas. But you and I always come on and we talk about the products from SAT123 because we're talking about being prepared. Nick is going to pull up just a picture. And I've lived this. I know what this is like. But this kind of gives you an idea. Nick, if you could throw that picture up for me. This is a car pileup, Chris, in a blizzard, in a cyclone bomb. You see all the cars crashed.
Yeah.
I would have to assume a lot of the technology's down. This is what you and I are talking about when we're discussing the products from SAT123. When we talk about being prepared, I come from a different perspective, like all my law enforcement training, everything I went through in my career. So I think of things a little differently. But this is something that we all have in common. What we all can think about, Chris, is this is hitting America like today. How bad and how wide does this get? I don't know. But this is exactly what you and I are talking about being prepared. So tell my audience, what product? You're looking at this like, okay, I need about 1 million things to get out of here. But what do you really need to survive?
Well, I mean, look, in this situation, if you reach for your cell phone, I mean, good luck, right? It's not going to work. The towers are going to be down. The power's going to be out. So even if the cell towers were remaining standing, they're not going to be getting any power. So they're not going to be working, and if you need emergency assistance, you're out of luck unless you have a satellite phone. Satellite phones don't need cell towers. They don't need the power grid. They're working directly with satellites and give you communications through voice and text to anywhere else in the world, or to any landline, to any cell phone. So that's the number one thing. You need to keep that with you all the time. I know you have one. I know your family has sat phones, and you take them wherever you go because, like you said, you never know when this kind of thing is going to happen. Look, you might get a little bit of warning about a bomb like this, a snow bomb like this, but you don't get warnings about wildfires. You don't get warnings about terrorist attacks. You don't get warnings about most disasters, unfortunately. So when they happen, you're either prepared or you're not. And if you're not, you're out of luck, and that could cost you your life.
Because I'm just looking at this picture, which when you think about it, I know you live in Colorado, I live in Kansas, I lived in South Dakota for quite a while, right after I lived in California, which is, there's no snow. It's perfect all the time. But I'm looking at this car accident. There's people that were injured. There had to be people that are injured. I'm looking at the car at the bottom that has the door open. The door frame's probably jammed. You're not going to be able to shut the door. How long can you stay in those conditions, in those freezing conditions, and you can't communicate, right? Because the cell towers they're jammed, or there's no getting out. They're down, power's down. That you think, well, I can walk. There's no walking. No. This is truly a life and death scenario. Put it into a picture.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at hours, even minutes that you can survive in these kind of temperature. And like you say, you're not going to be able to walk anywhere like that. You're probably going to be injured, so that doesn't work. A medevac is your only hope. But how are you going to get a medevac, if you got no way to call one, no way to reach out for help? Emergency services are able to help you in this situation if they know where you are, right? But if they don't, then, you're out of luck completely. So a satellite phone is always the number one thing. As we've talked about many times before, the other result of this kind of storm is that internet's going to be down. That means no data. Your standard internet service not going to work. Satellite internet units like the Starlink units are, absolutely the best way to maintain communications and data and internet access. And then on top of that, in this kind of temperature, if you're without heat, you're also in very big trouble. Even if you're in your house, things can get pretty cold pretty quickly. And so solar powered generators, are absolutely essential because, look, even if there was gas available, how are you going to go out and get it when you've got like 6 feet of snow in the roads and no one's clearing them? So the ability to stay warm and the ability to have communication no matter what, those things are vital. So a sat phone and a solar powered generator for your house. We have units, JJ, as you know, that will literally power your entire house, the heating, the fridge, the lighting, the AC, whatever it is. They'll keep that going day after day. And yeah, there's no sun at night. So we have battery packs inside these generators that will store the electricity. And then you use that overnight and you recharge the next day. And this is an ongoing thing. So this is the way to be prepared. Look, we've just seen in Moscow, a drone attack took out power to 700,000 people just in the last few hours. Right. So, maybe we're not going to have a drone attack here, but maybe we are. I don't think it's something that we can say is never going to happen here. Right. Every time we say something like that's never going to happen here, it happens here, right? If 9/11 can happen here, anything can happen here. And as we've talked about many times, there are many countries around the world who hate us, who are attacking our power grid, our utilities constantly. Cyber warfare and cyber attacks are increasing daily. In my mind, instead of bombing Nigeria, we need to be ramping up defenses on the homeland. That's my personal opinion, because
Amen.
We are not safe here, and it's going to take money and time to do that. And some of these missiles cost tens of millions of dollars each, right? We could put that money to work. Modernizing the power grid, modernizing our defenses, protecting us here at home first before we worry about what's going on anywhere else. Just my opinion, mate.
Nope, that's my opinion too. Why don't we focus on America? Sir, I appreciate you coming on. Who knows what's going to happen in 2026? I don't know how. Answer this for me. 2025, what happened to this year? It's gone, Chris. It's absolutely gone. What happened to the time?
Yeah, I mean, we spent it talking about all kinds of horrific attacks and disasters. Unfortunately, every week I came on this year, there was, we kept hoping to be nothing big that we could talk about, and there we go.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think next year's, unfortunately, not going to be any different. I think we are going to see a lot of increased talk about cyber warfare and cyber attacks because it is ramping up with AI. And the people out there who hate us and want to destroy us, they are on that case. So, I think we're going to have something to talk about, unfortunately. But
unfortunately, I agree, Chris. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. I'm praying and hoping that, not hoping, but I'm praying that 2026 is a great year for America, and I hope it's a great year for you. Have a great New Year's. I hope that cyclone bomb just blows up in Colorado. I'll just be sitting laughing. Even if I get a little of that, I'm going to go, Chris is getting it worse. It makes me feel happy.
I'll shoot you a photo, mate. Happy New Year to you and your family, mate.
You too. Thank you very much, Chris. Sat123.com/JJ. Sat123.com/JJ. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. All right. Always, it says just a great guy. Just a great, and I love his accent. It just makes you cheerful. Even though I'm sitting there pissed off, talking about the treason against our nation. Just listening to someone like Chris, I just love his accent. Naturalized U.S. citizen, happy to be here, wants to be a part of our community. Love it. Love it. If you listen to, well, let me start out this way. I was talking to someone the other day about this. Actually, today I was talking about it. And we were talking about the world issues in America. And I said, do you know who the greatest or the most important individual to listen to of all the people in our country? And there's a lot of great people that are talking. Stephen Miller in the White House, Donald Trump, great theologians, people that I respect. Go back and listen to old Billy Graham preaches, sermons. Even the shorts are amazing. But who is it that I think needs to be listened to? You got Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, just go on and on. Guys that Pat Buchanan, old Pat Buchanan speeches. But there is one man that has the insight and has seen behind the curtain and has the technical expertise. And we need to listen to what he's saying. And that's Elon Musk. Elon Musk has seen, because he can see with the eyes of the data in the maze, the purposeful created maze of lies and deceit and treason and theft. He's been in the belly of the beast with his geeks, and he has seen it all. So when Elon Musk begins to talk about the government, what needs to be done, how much money has been stolen, he's the most important person to listen to today. I really believe that. Listen to what he says as he's talking about why the Democrats are bringing in illegal aliens.
But where you'll see the biggest outcry is from the Democrats who are, they don't want the waste and fraud to be turned off because it is a gigantic magnet to attract illegal immigrants and have them stay in the country. And I mean, you see some of the crazy stuff, like where money from FEMA, which is meant, FEMA is an agency that's meant to take care of Americans in distress. And a bunch of their money was being sent to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegal immigrants. And that was happening even after the president was elected, even after he signed an executive order saying that needs to stop. So we actually made sure that money did stop going, because obviously it's outrageous that American taxpayer money is spent on luxury hotels for illegals. But you have to say, like, why was that being done? It was because the Democrats are trying to import voters, basically.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. And that's also why there's no voter ID needed. In fact, in California and New York State, you're not allowed to show voter ID. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that seem insane?
Insane.
Yeah.
I'd say that as a New Yorker. It's
Yeah,
insane.
insane.
Elon Musk has been talking like this all of a sudden. I mean, done for a long time, but he's ramped up probably in the last 5 days. He began to talk about the Somali fraud. And he said, after what I have experienced and investigated and researched, he expects or he estimates on the low end that our government, our taxpayer money to the tune of 1.5 trillion, that's with a T, is stolen, frauded, and abused. 1.5 trillion. Try to wrap your brain around that number. Do you know how many people have to be involved in order to steal that much money? And then you begin to understand how big the problem is and how the people in the highest positions of authority and power have to know about this theft, because those dollars go through their budgets and they have to know where it is. We have not, or we do not have $38 trillion in debt. What we have is $38 trillion stolen. Is there bad policy and bad investment, bad decisions made in government and wasted money? Yes. Look at the wars we're in. That being said, we are not a nation that is in debt. We are a nation that should be several 10, $15 trillion in the black. But we're not, because they have stolen all of it. And they continue to steal it to this day. And we continue to bring in illegal aliens. Speaker Johnson puts a bill today, like I said before, to up to $6 billion to bring in more refugees. They are not listening to us. They don't care about us. We are on our own. And we are in a war for the soul of the United States of America. And the enemy is not the 50 million, 60 million illegal aliens, even though that they are. The real enemy, the true enemy that we're fighting against is ourselves. We imported the third world. We now have third world problems. But we, the United States of America, have funded it all. We have funded our own suicide. I would like you to play. This is number 5. And I want you to understand the greatest example of everything I'm talking about is Ilhan Omar talking about President Trump and basically us as Americans.
If we were in the majority, here's what we would be doing. We would be holding non-stop oversight hearings about what the Trump administration is doing, carrying out investigations into the corruption and the abuses of power and illegal actions. We would be holding Trump appointees in contempt of Congress when they lie under oath and violate the Constitution. And trust me when I say this, we would be suing Trump for stealing congressional authority, especially spending power. But as many of you know, this is not what is happening. Republicans in Congress are abdicating their constitutional duties because they are too afraid to stand up to Trump. It has put us on a dangerous trajectory. The fate of our nation hangs in the balance.
Are you tired, as I am, of vile illegal aliens from third world shitholes telling us about America? that 98-pound vile human being with a dirty rag on her head from war-torn Somalia, where she escaped. However, we learn that she's not escaping a tyrannical government because her family was the tyrannical government. No, she is fleeing her countrymen that want to kill her over there. And she comes over here and she fraudulently brings her brother in and marries her brother. So I have a vile person that should either be denaturalized or at the very minimum stripped of her Congress duties and put in jail for immigration fraud. And I have her from a third world Somalia talking about how if she was in power, she would go after Donald Trump. Same time this week, we had to sit and listen to Vivek Ramaswamy from the wonderful country of India, where hundreds of thousands, over 100 million people, God, 100 million, think of this, over 100 million people defecate in the open every day. We have that man trying to convince us that America is an idea created from ideals, and that somebody that just came off a boat from India and naturalized to become a U.S. citizen is as much American as, say, me or you or your parents or your grandparents or your relatives that died in wars for America. The guy that just came off a boat from India that just used a toilet for the first time is as American as you are. Because America is just an idea. Let me show you what happens when we bring in the third world and we discard American ideas and ideals, and we allow them into our society, and they begin to destroy our society. I'm going to show you Minneapolis, Mall of Americas, just this week. Somalian teenagers and young adults take over the once beautiful Mall of Americas. Go ahead and play this, please.
What? You've been a problem? I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Everybody back. No.
Don't know. Starting. You can stop that, Nick. Because I wanted to play it and continue to play it because I want to ask you a question. Did you see any white people? This is Minnesota. This is the land of Vikings and Norwegians, Swedes. Let me show you what Mall of America looked like a very, very, very long time ago in 1992. Not 1892, 1992. This is the first day that Mall of Americas were open. And I want you to look at the clientele, the calmness, the peace. The only problem that you're going to hear is it took this gentleman a little longer than normal to get his food. But look at the difference. A white America versus a third world shithole America.
The bargains are coming! The bargains are coming! Hear ye, hear ye! The mother of all shopping crowds was waiting as the doors opened.
Yes, shop till you drop. We are professional shoppers.
By noon, the 2 parking ramps were filled with 13,000 cars, and that sent the mall's war room into action.
We were able to divert to off-site parking properly and efficiently and effectively within 5 minutes.
There was congestion on the roads, but the plan seemed to work. Meanwhile, the traffic jam continued inside the mall. It took almost an hour to get on some of the most popular amusement rides, and the wait continued in the food line.
Well, I placed an order at about 1:27 and got the food about 2:20.
Mall officials say the delays were due in part to a green workforce.
You sure got a variety. You can buy anything you want, I guess.
This place has over 300 stores, some very specialized. Just what this doctor ordered.
And I found a book that I've not been able to find anywhere else. Human Anatomy by an illustrator.
Some people came.
A little different. That dude is upset because his meal didn't get pushed out in time, but he didn't jump over the counter and break the drink machine, throw the fries everywhere, take the lid dispenser and destroy it. I didn't see any 500-pound wildebeest fighting, ripping their wigs off. I didn't see any Somalians running around fighting with the cops. I didn't see any burqas. Did you see any burqas? You know the pressing issue of that day? The pressing issue was not shots fired in the Mall of America. It wasn't a massive brawl of blacks of Somalian blacks in Mall of America. No. The pressing issue was making sure certain parking lots were open. And it was free flowing. You know what? I miss white culture. I do. I always love when people say their culture are boring. Oh, really? What, law and order? Ethics, morality, empathy, sympathy, civil discussions, no fighting, no obnoxious dresses or lack thereof clothes, not massively obese women covered in burqas, but just nice and calm. That mall was packed. Did you hear anybody? It's just the boring white culture. Oh, where there's order, no chaos. Interesting. We need to begin to talk like this all the time. And when anybody ever says, well, there's no white culture. Really? Where do the classics come from? Where do the symphonies, art, language? Where does technology come from? Where did the great works of art and theater and writings come from? Not Africa. Not the Sub-Sahara. Not the Middle East and the Kastans. That would be Europe. Unbelievable. Give me some more boring white culture. I would like that in spades, please. I would like to be ODing on that white culture. Because I don't know about you as we're going in, as 2025 is closing out. 2026 doesn't look very promising. And I talked to someone today about that, and I asked them a very simple question. Do you feel, as I do, that I don't see or feel that normal excitement that we feel in the new year, where everyone's like, I'm turning over a leaf, I'm excited, change is coming, life's going to be great. I don't feel that. I feel the opposite. And why is that? Because our government has sold us. Our government is traitors. We have allowed the enemy inside of our power structures, and they have brought and they have changed our world that used to look like the Mall of Americas, and they turned it into Somalia. Happy New Year.